Hi, so for this week's, we are talking about nonverbal communications, and with this video, picking a movie with characters that use nonverbal codes, 4 of the 8. So the movie that I picked to start is Finding Nemo. You know, it's a kid's movie, but it's a movie that I really know a lot about, and I really like it, so figured it'd be an easy one to pick. Anyways, so let's start with nonverbal codes are symbols we use to send messages without or in addition to words. So the ones that I picked out of the 8 codes that are used in the movie, the first one is gestures and body movements. There is kind of subcategories in gestures and body movements. So kinesics are the way gestures and body movements communicate meaning. There's 5 main categories with that, and the ones that are used in the movie is, let's start with adapters, which are body movements that satisfy some physical or psychological need. So in Finding Nemo, I chose how Marlin every day brushes against his sea anemone, which is his home. Basically, the reason why I picked that is because doing that satisfies his physical need to not get stung by jellyfish, because brushing against the sea anemone, you get used to the stings. Within that, the relational context is a fish in his home. A situational context is he brushes to prevent getting stung by a jellyfish because he's scared to. And I couldn't think of a cultural context for that one. So, the next one is eye behavior, which is not part of the gestures and body movements, but it's one of the codes, which is making eye contact shows connection, meaning. And so within my movie, I picked when Dory and Marlin make eye contact whenever he's trying to get help with finding his son and getting directions, and no one else will help him. They make eye contact whenever Dory says, well, I'm helping you, and they make eye contact, meaning that they have a connection, that she's actually helping him, that she's actually his friend. The relational context is friends. They're friends. Situational is Marlin is afraid. He's lost his son and he needs help. So cultural, I kind of just said that we help those in need. The next code is voice. So I found a couple and that would work with the movie. So volume, how soft or loud you speak, basically. When Marlin thinks that Nemo is dead, whenever he finally finds him, he kind of swims away from Dory, and when he's talking, his voice is really low and sounds really sad, which kind of shows that he is ready to just go home and be done, which leaves Dory left alone. So relational would be, it would be between Marlin and Dory, so friend and friend kind of. Situational, loss of his son, it's sad, he's upset. Cultural, like any father or mother that would go through that, they mourn their child and they just don't really want to live without their child, so that's what I found for cultural. The other one that I found within voice is tone. Modulation of the voice, changing of the voice, kind of. I picked when Bruce says, yeah, a party, but he says it in a sarcastic way, meaning that it's really not a party. because he's a shark and they're fish. Even though he really doesn't want to eat them, though. It's weird, but the last one that I found was physical appearance. So when Nemo meets Gil, he's the leader fish in the fish tank. He sees he has a bad fin like he does, and it kind of motivates him to get out of the tube. And then it also makes him look up to him, because it's like, oh, he has a bad fin, so do I. That means I could probably do great things. I could probably be strong. And then yes. And then relational context for that is two fish and a fish-eating shark. Situational, sharks normally eat fish, so they're vulnerable. Cultural, again, Marlin and Dory are at the bottom of the food chain compared to Bruce, so I mean, in all cultural sense, they should be eaten, but they don't. Yeah. Another one that I found was space and environment. So there's this yellow fish in the fish tank. He likes his bubbles that come out of the little treasure chest. So he goes to his space and hugs his bubbles, meaning that's his bubbles. Relational context would be fish in an object. Situational, fish being in a tank kind of drives them crazy, I guess. If you're a fish, that's how it would be. Cultural, not really sure what cultural would be for that, but then lastly, these codes, if I'm understanding how to do this right, I think how the codes influence and interactions and outcomes in our real world. Well, I would say that they influence interactions by maybe if you can't say something, like you don't feel comfortable saying something, or you just don't want to, it's a good way to actually communicate it without saying it. And the outcomes can usually be pretty good. Sometimes people don't see the outcomes, but I would say that the outcomes usually are more seen than actually communicating. Sorry. So that is my video about Finding Nemo and nonverbal communication. Thank you.